Well, hello, friends. So lately I have been experimenting a lot with painting on black canvases. So I went out and got myself some Liquitex black gesso and I went to work priming this 18 by 24 inch canvas so that I could really play with this art technique that is called Tenebrism. So, what is Tenebrism? Well, Tenebrism is an art technique that was often used in Baroque art, and it employs a contrast or a striking contrast of light and dark, also known as the spotlight effect. While chiaroscuro utilizes shadow to enhance the subject's three-dimensionality, tenebrism allows an artist to create more drama by highlighting certain objects, figures, or faces while leaving the background or portions of it completely black. In fact, darkness is often the dominant feature of the painting. So I decided that I was going to try this technique out, and I put a sketch onto my black canvas, which was actually pretty rough. But it was based on a photograph that I found on unsplash.com, where I really liked the composition, not necessarily the photo itself, because I wanted to change the face, but I thought that I could make the hair into branches and kind of do something that had this effect. So I went to work with just regular acrylics and I started filling in the lightest portions or the highlights, or what would end up being kind of the spotlight effect, which I really wanted to be on the face. Now, this, like I said, is a very, very rough sketch, and it did need some tweaking throughout the painting because I was kind of just experimenting and I wanted to see what would happen. So I decided that I wanted to have her face being in this kind of spotlight effect and then utilize some of the techniques known as chiaroscuro in the rest of the painting. So I'm kind of combining these two techniques on this one canvas. The cool thing about using a black canvas is that all of your darkest darks are already established on the canvas, and if you're doing the tenebrism technique, your black background is already there. So this makes it really easy to kind of get your form onto the canvas, and I'm just using titanium white acrylic paint and kind of mapping out where I want everything to be. So I drew in these birds, and I had originally thought, oh, I'll do some chickadees in this painting. And I came to realize that, well, chickadees are tiny, tiny birds, and those would be, I don't know, radioactive chickadees maybe. They're massive and not at all what a chickadee would be. So I ended up changing the birds later on. But yeah, I didn't even finish painting them in because I was like, yeah, that's not going to work at all. But I went on to using some golden open acrylics, and in order to kind of make a misty background in certain areas, that is going into the ultra black background. And I used different shades of gray and which I mixed with titanium white, carbon black, and burnt umber to kind of get it more of a neutral. And then I went over it with a fluffier brush and kind of blended it out, which is really easy to do with the golden open acrylics because they have a slower drying time than regular acrylics. So I did use a combination of regular acrylics and golden open acrylics on the underpainting. And I'm still, at this point, not really sure what I'm going to be doing with these birds. But, needless to say, please forgive the sound of my voice too, because yet again, I have managed to get myself infected with some kind of head cold, and I am extremely congested, so I apologize for sounding like I've been crying all night, but I really haven't been. I just am very stuffy. So once I finish up with the misty background, I am going into the face, and because when acrylic dries, especially when it's on a much darker canvas, it dries a little bit darker. So I really want to bring those highlights back up and working with some titanium white and also working on sort of the gradient of the shadows of the face to further refine it a little bit. At the beginning, my focus was more on getting the brightest parts in, and now I'm working on getting some of those mid-tones in and some of the more subtle shadows that are going on in the face. Wow, will you look at that thumb? It looks like I have a puncture wound or a bachfly larva in there. It's actually just a burn that is in the process of healing, but man, does that look disturbing. Also, the way that I'm holding that paintbrush, how did I contort my hand like that? Wow. It's amazing how observant you are when you're doing a voiceover as opposed to when you're actually like in the process of painting. Also, maybe not wise to do a voiceover when you've recently taken cold medication. So I drew in some branches and now I am highlighting them with a lighter color, and I kind of have an idea in my head of where I want to go with this now. And having some of these branches that are kind of coming across the whole entire picture, and also I was thinking about having maybe snow-covered branches so that it looks like winter. Which I think is kind of neat because we are entering that season at the moment. So this is where I really started focusing. I'm slurring. That's a great sign. I started focusing more on the birds, and I decided to make them into blue jays. Because we have a lot of blue jays around here, and the blue jays, they are loud and they're sort of obnoxious sometimes, but they're beautiful birds regardless. So I do enjoy the blue jays, even if some people maybe they don't like them. The other thing that was really kind of an important part of this concept was having her hair transition into branches. So I wanted these individual pieces or strands of hair to be like twigs that were coming off of it, so that you could really kind of see this transition of hair into more of this foresty kind of scenery. I had to be really careful though, because I didn't want to overdo it with the little branches and the twigs and everything, and I really did feel like it had a cold vibe to it, so adding some snow to it kind of made it into a really, you feel like it's cold. Okay, so I started glazing with oils after the acrylics were completely dry, and I waited a day or so, and you're going to see kind of this orange color going on there, and it doesn't look like winter at all, but that is actually an idea that I had where I was going to play off of the blue and orange and have this transition of seasons going from autumn into winter. Yeah, I know her face looks so weird right now being completely glazed, but when you're using oil paint, you can also take a paper towel and remove some of the glaze where the brighter areas of the face are, and you glaze from light to dark. So the colors that I'm kind of gravitating towards are more of these warm colors, because I really want the warmth to be in her face, and then where you see that kind of definitive line of it ending is where it's going to transition into winter, and that's where all of the blues are going to be and the more subdued coloring. So you're going to have the warmth in her face and then going into kind of the Payne's gray and Prussian blue on the other side. There really wasn't too much refining that I wanted to do on the whole painting. It was mainly just on her face because I really wanted to emphasize this kind of spotlight effect. So all of the areas that had been dulled down by the glaze or darkened by the glaze, I really wanted to brighten and make sure that you had that really high contrast from the dark background to more of this highlighted face that is kind of coming out of this darkness, with this kind of transition from autumn to winter and having more of these bright, vibrant reds and oranges going into more of the subdued and neutral colors of winter. I did leave the birds being more gray because I didn't think that they would look right if they were bright blue. So I think this was a really good experiment. I did enjoy painting it. There are parts of this painting that I would definitely tweak, but all around, I think it came out pretty well. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did like this video, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.